Hi and welcome to UI Made Simple. In this video we're going to make our health bar widget functional. So let's go straight into it. This video will be focusing on blueprints, and there will be an additional video which will be doing the exact same thing but in C++. So this is going to be nice, quick and easy in the blueprints. And now let's go straight into the blueprint graph up here. And what we're going to use for this is going to be just the construct node, because we are going to set up a timer that every second until the health reaches 0 is going to deal 10% damage, so we can watch it decrease. Now this is just for demonstration purposes. Normally you would hook up this function to your health damaging event, but for now we're just going to use the delay node to create this effect of decreasing. So let's drag out a delay node which is gonna happen every second, and then out of this delay node we are gonna make a function called deal damage, and then inside the deal damage function we are going to first the first thing we want to do is set the health from where it was to where it is now. So we're going to get our health bar image. If it's not visible here, it means that it probably needs this is variable ticked in the editor, otherwise it's not going to be visible, so make sure that is ticked. Drag your health bar image. We're gonna get dynamic material from this image, which is going to be a material instance dynamic object reference. This is important because when we assign this material instance to the image, it's not exactly, oh, not the material itself, yes, save that. It is not exactly the material instance itself. It makes a copy of this instance and then it assigns it to the image itself. It's like an instance of an instance if you want. So to get that image, you need to use this get dynamic material from the image itself. We're going to check if this is valid first. And if it is, then we want to, from this actually, we want to set scalar parameter value, which is going to be, let me open this up. So this is our instance, and we want to set the current health to the value that it is new value. The new value will be the previous health value minus the damage. Now this damage event, like I said, this is just something for demonstration purposes. Normally these values will come from somewhere on gameplay. We'll probably hook this up to a health component later on, but for demonstration purposes we're just gonna have some values stored in the widget itself so we can see this working. So I'm going to make a bunch of variables. One will be the health value, which is going to be a float. Then we're going to have damage value, and then we're going to have a cached health value that we will be using for the changing parameter, the changing health parameter. So the new value of the health after the damage has been dealt is going to be health value minus damage value. And now we want to make sure this is never going below 0, so it's going to be the maximum between the result of this and 0. So if it reaches 0, it will be 0. And now we plug that into here. And then the parameter name that we want to set with this was current health. Save and compile. After we've done this, we also want to set the health value to be this new value after the damage. So next time we deal damage, we're gonna deal damage to the already damaged health. Okay, let's save this and then go back to the event graph, and we'll call our deal damage. Okay, once we've dealt the damage, we will have to do a check if the health value is more than 0. What we want to do is we're gonna damage again. So I'm gonna make a nice loop up here. We're gonna basically start the loop all over again. If it's false, then we don't want to do anything. We'll just leave it empty. Let's first do something. Let's initialize our values first. So we are gonna grab the health bar, dynamic material, and its valid nodes from the deal damage. We're gonna put it into initialize values, and then we'll make sure that the first thing we do is set those values to the current health and the previous health. We need to set them both to be the health that we're starting with. Set scalar parameter value. So the current health, we want it to be the health value, and then the previous health, we also want it to be the health value because we're starting from health value. And this. Let's make it clear up a little bit. Okay. Now our health value, it is initialized as 0. So let's initialize this as 1. The damage value will be initialized as 0.1, which is a tenth. And the cached health value will be, let's set this to 1 as well. One very important thing to remember is that our values in the health bar are from 0 to 1, 0 being on the left and 1 being on the right. If your values from the health component are coming as 50 or 60 or 100, you will have to transform these to be between 0 and 1. Otherwise, just don't forget to put the input node there. Otherwise, the material will not reflect the values correctly. Back to construct. Before we try to do anything, let's initialize the values and then start the loop. Okay, so we start up there and we see that our health is going down. The white is not following, but this is going down, and when it reaches 0, it should just stop. Right. Let's add the trailing white bar now. The way we're going to do this is using a widget animation to help the lerping between the previous health and the current health value. So we're going to go into the designer again. We're going to add an animation called damage animation. And in this damage animation, we are going to add an event track, which is going to be a repeater. So a trigger for an event track will only trigger once. Where you put that keyframe in the animation, it will trigger that event there, and that's it. A repeater will be triggered for the entire animation duration every tick. And that's what we want, so we'll be able to lerp between the two values. So we'll add our repeater track, and you see at the moment it's 5 seconds long. That is way too long, so we're gonna drag this down to 0.5 seconds, so 1 second is there, 0.5, zoom in a little bit. And now we right click on the track, properties, and we do not have an endpoint, so we're just going to create a new endpoint for this repeater. It's called sequence event by default. We want to give this something more specific. Let's say Lerp changing health value. And then in here, we are going to use this cached health value, which we had here, and the finterp node to move between the health value, sorry, between the old health value and the new health value. So interp2, look for the one that has an f in front of it. So this is a float interp2 node, and it goes from current to target in a delta time with a specific speed. Let's start from the bottom. The speed will be, let's say 10. We can change it later. The delta time will be the get world delta in seconds. So this is going to be the elapsed time in seconds from the world called by our animation every frame. So we'll know how much has changed, how much this delta has changed. The target is where we want to reach the value, which in our case is going to be the health value because we want to go down towards the health value. And the current is going to be the cached health value because this is where we start. We're going to cache the health value first, and then we are going to move towards the new health value. Very important, after we've done the interpolation, to be able to do it again the next frame, we need to set the cached health value to the new value, which we've got here. Otherwise, next time we're going to do it again, the cached health value wouldn't have changed. So this node doesn't actually change any values internally, it just returns the new value. So it is up to us to make sure that this is set to be up to date the next tick we're executing this. And now that we've done the interpolation, all we have to do is to change the value in the material. So I'm going to go back to the deal damage, copy these nodes again, and then paste them here. So we've got the health bar, we've got the is valid, and now we want to set scalar parameter by value, and this was called previous health, and the value will be this value. Okay, save this. One more thing that we have to do is to make sure that our cached value is reset before we try to interpolate. So in our event, every second when the value changes, the cached value is also up to date. So we're gonna grab the cached health value and set it to the health value here. Otherwise, the next second we're executing this, the cache value could have a different value. Obviously, we do need to play our animation before we reset the loop. To play an animation, we'll see that we've got our damage animation up here. We can drag it, play animation. This huge node appears. Oh, let's move stuff a little bit. Plug this in, and everything here is fine. It starts at 0, it plays one time, plays forward at speed 1. We don't need to restore the state. Our animation is 0.5 seconds long, which is less than the duration of this delay, so we will be finished by the time we start the next loop. Obviously, these are all hard-coded values. We will tackle events later, and we'll see what happens if you get multiple events for damage and the lerping hasn't finished yet, so we'll worry about that in the future. So let's see what happens now. And there we have it. The health bar is decreasing. Oh, that is interesting. So what happened there was that if you remember when we created the material, we are using progress mask for this, and progress mask will have to fix this because when the values get too low, then the mask will affect the background. So if I think it was around 0.1, let's say, and then this one was 0.3. Yeah, and there we get this weird effect here. And this is because of this seal node, actually. what we want is to make sure that the saturation of this is constant across these bits, so it doesn't have to seal to different values. So one easy fix for this is just to add a saturate node here. This is going to make sure that the saturation of the mask is constant across the entire line. So now you see, if I was to decrease those values further, say the current health to 0.05 and the previous health to 0.1, regardless of how small they get, the mask will remain constant. Let's put it to a big value like 0.9 and 0.8. Again, the mask the ceiling of the mask remains constant. This is the logic for making the health bar work in Blueprints.